Good morning. Oh, we got what was anticipated yesterday for the most part. It seemed that maybe we could get a little bit higher, but that first resistance to the left was enough to stop the market in its tracks. And after a little while, didn't go up, so it went down. And it made its attempt in the middle of the day to move up as it retested some support. It was right around 12 o'clock, give or take, right around here, this little retest pattern. It came down there and it just grinded its way up. I thought maybe it could keep going, but it didn't. And so we ended with a red day, basically within a range. And so that's what we got going on right now, is a little trading range down here. And part of our discussions in the green room yesterday was about multiple timeframes and which way might this go. Meaning, so we got the technical bounce off of the 200. And as prices came down, one of the things I mentioned yesterday was this was the start of a move, meaning this was a consolidation, and the move down last week, right? That's like one bar, right? I know it's several days, but that's the start of the move because it happened out of a range. So that suggests we're going to go lower, but it doesn't mean it has to go lower immediately. And yesterday was a mild fail. Let's just call it a mild fail, which was certainly understandable.
Aha, gotcha now. All right. Sound check number 2. All right, thanks. Yeah, I'm traveling, so I have my portable headset here. I'm just assuming Greg has some internet problems, which obviously happens to all of us. So I'll just take over until he comes back. So I'll go through all the opens later. I was traveling without internet on the airplane, so I couldn't update them in real time, but they are updated now. Let's just go through a couple earnings trades here first, as we always do. Well, I was listening to Greg as you were too. So my bias here is over yesterday's high, then a continued bounce. We're here at the 50, but we're churning lower. We're expecting lower prices. It just depends on how we get there. We had another little gap up this morning. You can see on the 15-minute chart, the resistance coming in. So I'm totally neutral again. I mean, this could definitely, we're in a downtrend on the 15-minute chart. Gap negated, red bar. So very, very neutral here. Maybe the bias for today is 30-minute high, 30-minute low. All right, AAP had earnings gapping up 145, still in the down, nasty downtrend. Look at these moving averages. It's about 1, 2, 3 on the weekly, but possible start of a breakdown failure. But I have enough to look at. I don't need to watch that. On target, no pattern, flat. We'll come back to it. ADT, just an ugly downtrend. Look at that. Can't get 2 green bars in a row here. Builder, another possible breakdown failure. Gapped up yesterday. If it can go sideways, this could be an inverse head and shoulders and an uptrend. Kerbal, no pattern, no pattern. It could be a short under yesterday's low, or a put spread over yesterday's high. Delta Kilo, bottoming pattern. Doesn't have any oomph here, but I like all the flat MAs. Today's Tuesday, so I like Friday's bottoming tail. I'm going to set an alarm at 2760. See if it can get back up there and close strong. HUV, housing stock. I'm surprised that it has such light volume. Hovnanian house. This is a fantastic example of a bottoming pattern with all the moving averages converging with a rising 50. This is an example that I could trade the chart without candlesticks. I just right in here with this 20 curl into the 50. I would say just buy it. Stop under the 50 somewhere. This light volume, we'll come back to you. We'll come back. I see. I don't trust pre-market if I can't read the chart with liquidity. No prints. We'll come back to all these. AZO. That's a beast. Look at that monthly chart. Wow. You know, people ask us, do charts work on all time frames? The answer is absolutely yes. Look at this monthly. You have a 180 breakdown failure, went sideways for about a year, and then you had a closing breakout with a price void. Look at that. Look at that move that one bar right there started. Wow. B-Fly, looks like a piece of garbage. This one is a little bit interesting. If it can take out, it's gapping up here to the 20 MA with all these flat MAs. If it can hold the gain and take out the 30-minute high, that's interesting. No interest, it's bottoming pattern. GoGo, I don't see any prints, but it's a climactic buy setup. No pattern. The cruise line gapping down 1540. That's a pretty big gap. Wow. We'll come back. Yeah, Greg. Yeah, I guess your power went out, whatever. Yeah, I said I'm totally neutral here. We had another gap up on the spiders and we're giving it up here. Yeah, I just said 30-minute high or low is going to be my day trade bias as of right now.
It seems like it's maybe, we'll have to hope it stays in this range because the premiums aren't juicy enough to be far enough away to make them no brainers.
Yeah. Well, so it's yeah, so it could be one of those days of if we get an acceleration lower, then we focus
Yeah.
on the put side.
Absolutely, because then the premiums will juice up and then vice versa.
Mm. So here's I'm sorry, skin. Nice gap over these couple of 5-6 bars with a price void, 30-minute high idea. All right, I'm almost done with these earnings right here. No pattern, Twix. There's a nine. Well, there's not much volume, but that's a beautiful gapper. There you go. If now it's gapping to the top of this range, but you have a breakdown failure. We're here. We have a price void. This is a big old multi-week bottom. We have a buy setup on the weekly. It's light volume though, which is unfortunate. If this can just chop around at this prior high, 30-minute high, I like that. And this is garbage. This SYK, my alarm had gone off when Greg was talking. I set a new alarm at 265. But this reminds me of our MT live that we call the turn. So this is a multi-bar turn, gap fill, 50 MA, price void. Then it would be a red bar ignored over yesterday's high. So set an alarm. Two other favorites of mine this morning, Airbnb gapping over 2 days range. It's a buy setup. And somebody, Roger actually emailed me, Greg and me this morning, and he's like, well, why wasn't Twilio a directional? And I said the two things. I said, I don't like these like two overlapping bars, didn't come down with conviction. Well, I said three things. And number two, this is not a potent reversal. And number three, I said the market's iffy. So talking about Twilio, I did post this adjustment. But I was okay for a put spread. And so this chart reminds me of Airbnb. It's this same little 2-bar jiggle not gigolo, Alex, jiggle over here. That I'm for the same three reasons. This 2-bar jiggle, I don't have a potent reversal, and the market's iffy is why I'm not crazy about this as a directional yet. If I had a big bottoming tail, a gap reversal, I need a potent reversal. But I like the gap up. If it can take out 30-minute high, then we'll also have a better bias at the broader markets at that time. Then I will consider a put spread. Here's another favorite one of mine today for a day trade and put spread. XLE down a lot. Climo, look over here. Pivot, 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 pivot. 200 price void. Gapping over yesterday's high. This is a beautiful day trade long 30-minute high and put spread for Friday. Alex, I got this bowl off your list the other day. My alarm went off on that pre-market also. I'd like it to chop around a little bit more, but you got a nice 1, 2, 3. So that's on my watch list. SJM. 150.50. 30-minute high, if you don't mind monitoring it for us, John. I'm sorry, Patrick. UCO, $28. The problem with that one, John, you don't have a great price void, but it would be a great put spread under last week's low. Remember we were talking about UNG? My alarms went off a couple times down here. Let's see if this can pull in and set up some type of retest pattern. Then I think this thing has to give us a tradable long in the near future. Greg, do you want to take it back and talk for another 5 minutes or?
No, because usually what I do, Dan, every day when I'm done is I have to shut down my e-signal and then open up stuff on the other computer. So I already shut it down. I'd have to move it over.
Oh, no, don't worry about it then. I'll just keep going. And as obviously everyone just ask any questions you want. All right, so I went over.
I'm typing some stuff into the stream over here, but go ahead. If anyone has questions, I'll answer. Sure.
Let me go over our opens. Well, Bravo Charlie is pending. This is another consolidation, but this one has to get over Thursday's high. Little kind of buy setup bull flag on the weekly. So a lot of things did trigger yesterday. So let me go to opens here. AEO, we're still short. Stop yesterday's high. CAG triggered yesterday, bottoming pattern. We bought calls. GVA triggered yesterday. SIBO, we're still long. It didn't hit the stop, but I don't think that gap is real. But nevertheless, the topping tail the day preceding it was a breakout failure. ENTB, ETNB, we have a way $10 out of the money put spread on this thing. I'm stalled. We have way out of the money put spread. That's fine. Duncan triggered yesterday. The long triggered put spread. We did not get filled. MOH triggered short yesterday. Nice closing breakdown on Friday. Visto 1, 2, 3 triggered long yesterday. Really gave this a half lot as a core long, daily, weekly, monthly. I have a monster void and a Texas triggered yesterday. Buy setup daily, 1, 2, 3 on the weekly. So that's everything in the advisory letter. In the weekly, CME stopped out yesterday. Take that off the list. Merck, we have a put spread. The 108s for Friday. Twilio, I mentioned. LMT, we did a put spread triggered yesterday. And finally, Cisco. Another one of these buy setup things, similar to Twilio. But the way it came down fast, and because of the market bias, I was not interested in a directional yet, but we did a put spread. Let me go back up here now, see what I got on my interest list. I'm never void of ideas. CENX, yes, Sergey, I love this 15-minute chart right here. Had a nice morning strength and stayed in the upper third. The only thing I don't like is I wish it had a better price void. But it's definitely a watch. I noticed of the fangs here, Tesla was holding up the best on the daily charts. This is a bull flag, bull consolidation, call it whatever you want. But that's a big monster move and holding much better than the other fangs. AMT, it's a climb. We'll turn one of these days. LNG, I kept this was our earnings, nice gap. That's on my list for a possible put spread. Let me set a new alarm actually. 160.50. FMX, just bullish consolidation. The problem with stocks like this is if the market pulls in, then these have a very high risk of pulling in too. W Whiskey just got killed here, but it'll stabilize one of these days. Relay, we're in. Oh, Mindy triggered yesterday. We did a out of the money put spread on this in the advisory letter because they don't have weeklies. and it has monster premium. So, that's a double-edged sword. It makes me cautious. Like, there has to be something pending. This was a call spread, which did not trigger, but it's still good to go if it takes out Friday's low. Oh, Tim is asking on YouTube here, AMAT, is it a long setup? Let's take a look here, Tim.
I was answering him in the text. It's gapping up. If
Yeah, it's
it
gapping.
hangs up
resist-
here, maybe it can go higher.
Yeah, it's for me, it's more of a put spread because the same void problem.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm looking at like there's a day trade since it's strong, but which also leads to considering other semiconductor stocks.
I was just about to look at, NVIDIA is just always wondered, wow, that was earnings last Thursday, and that is holding incredibly
Well, yes,
well.
yesterday morning where things started well, I picked NVIDIA as a long day trade and Apple. And Apple, we were able to get $1 out of it, and then it started faltering like the market. But NVIDIA was a tell about yesterday in that it didn't keep going up. It jiggled there, it took out the high, and then it couldn't keep going. And that kind of was like Don said the other day about the broader markets, and I think it was NVIDIA, whatever, the canary in the coal mine. So that was kind of yesterday. NVIDIA was kind of the canary in the coal mine as to that bullish start of the day. Just, NVIDIA, the institutions would have came for it, for a day trade, and they didn't. So it was a little bit of a tell, as to how the market developed yesterday.
Yep, totally agree. And that's why we used to have that term of the generals that there were, we had a number of stocks that we always watch for a couple of reasons. One is, as Greg just said, representation of institutional money, favorites, etc., but also a good indication of sector relative strength, weakness. Burl, looks fantastic, Alex. Was a short idea. Like it a lot. And then I see the market weakening here, upper right here. So it's exceeded the gap now. So see, now we're weaker than yesterday's close. So yeah, big old topping pattern started with a breakout failure. 20 MA flat here, big void. Yep, like it a lot. In fact, I'm on my laptop here, so I'm not gonna have as much landscaped of all my thumbnails, but yeah, that looks fantastic.
Jose's asking me about Twilio. You can see it's up here a little bit, but it's in some resistance, Jose. Look, generally in a weak market, and this market is very questionable, buying breakouts tends not to work. But if something is bullish, like this is here pre-market, buy pullbacks to support, double bottoms, breakdown failures. You want to buy near support versus something breaking out because the market is questionable. So I like it. I like the daily pattern. I like that it's support. I like that it's moving up, but let it develop intraday.
Yeah, and as you know, we have a put spread on it, so I tighten the stop on that already. Corning, I actually had this as a short in the weekend letter, but with yesterday's big bar, I just canceled it. X Pro, it's a 1, 2, 3, but it's wow, bullish weekly, monthly too. But it's far from the 20, so I'd like that to see if it can just stabilize a day or two. This is one I mentioned yesterday, was a short under Thursday's low, Friday's low. But I also said when they're down so much, you got to be on the lookout for a breakdown failure, because then you have a void above. So if this can close strong, I'm just eyeballing this above 208. Then it's a put spread candidate for tomorrow. Same with Frey. See, that looked like it was going to collapse. So that this is a same. These look very similar. I think they're the same sector. MPC, we were trying to sell a put spread yesterday. The gap and go, we never got the juice, so I canceled it. EXR, this was, this one might have filled. This might have filled. This was one I was doing a way out of the money. A Marriott alarm. I'll check EXR later. We were doing a way out of the money short put. All right, Marriott alarm. This would be ideal. 30-minute low. Let it chop around sideways more here. All right, so Burl, Alex, bottom right there. I like the fact that it gapped up a little bit. So now I'm just gonna set a new alarm. Ooh, ever. That was, wow, this was on my long list with Thursday's bar. Look at that ugly. Oh, thanks. All right. Well, that's still fine for me. That's totally fine. I'm gonna set an alarm at 2:12 here on Burl. I'm sorry, ENPH. Yeah, no, Alex, that's plenty of days for day trading and swing trading. Hey, Greg, if you want to come join me in Costa Rica, my buddy rented us a 9-bedroom mansion on the ocean. It is gorgeous.
I'm sure it's amazing, but the office manager might break my arm.
No. It's a work trip. You gotta tell her that our marketing director for South America is here.
She's smarter than that.
True. True. All right, got alarm on. I set an alarm on Burl, and that one print just hit it. Ideally, this goes sideways, but I love the pattern. I'm just saying, ideally, 30-minute low if it can't bounce. But I have it there in the bottom right. All right, so see spiders upper right still coming in. Yeah. All right, so I said pre-market 20 minutes ago, 30-minute high, 30-minute low bias, but as of right now, 2 minutes into the market, I got a bearish bias. It's given up that entire gap. So unless the bulls step up here really soon, then I got a day trade bearish bias. See, Alex, you're more aggressive than I in terms of you take counter trend things, even though the market's falling. I agree with you. It looks fantastic, showing relative strength. But me personally, even if I have to pay up a little bit, I just want, or I would only do a third lot. I agree. It looks great. I just have a hard time buying strength when the market's falling. But I'm gonna now put that in this middle window. Let me see what XLE is doing. SIBO low alarm. So that, yeah, that was a long of ours. All right, so now XLE is coming in a little more violently than that bullish gap suggested that it should. For this to stay a tier 1 long idea for me, I would have wanted it to just go sideways and not fill the gap. So that one, I'm kind of downgrading here on my tier 1 list. See Airbnb now is just, big old tails everywhere. That's why I'm just more cautious. All right, AEO. AEO, now we're still short. I'm gonna go back to moving stop break even. It gapped over our stop yesterday, so I moved it to yesterday's high. And now I'm going back to break even.